Oh. All right, welcome to the lab. I think we should be live now. Yep. All right, so today I want to touch a little bit upon some of the PRs I have open for Andurel, so I hopefully can meet my timeline of releasing a beta at the beta at the end of this month. So I'm just gonna go through and get some of the merge. All right. That one out of the way. I feel like I have done that one. Let me just check. Let me just see if this one compiles, because if it does, then it should be fine. What's the name? There we go. Andurel dev new. Okay. So what's going on here? And is that on master? What did I do to okay. So that's fine. Is it just this branch that messes up? Maybe I already had a directory called TT. Dual dev new, come on. All right. So how many T, and then there we go. Yeah. So that is also good to merge. So we have some middlewares. This is basically just IP restriction, because we don't ship with a dashboard or anything that's locked down when you scaffold Andurel. It's just the sign in and sign off functionality is there if you want to use it. All right. And did that close this one? I should no. Okay, do one thing at the time. Right, this is mentions and this is merged, so this one should get closed, but this one, maybe speeding a little bit through everything here. Let me just mark this as complete. Remove Windows support is gonna be an agent thing. I don't own any Windows, and I don't plan on having any Windows, so this is gonna be like an helps wanted tickets, subcommands. It's still a work in progress. This one, I think I want to deal with that actually in this one. So basically here I want to, yeah, so Datastar has this nice data indicator where we can add a signal called submitting, and then we can shut off all the input fields when we click submit, which is a much better user experience. But I think I want to handle this on a component level instead, and then use those components in what we scaffold, and we can also make them look prettier. I'm currently in mithlond. I'm working on getting components, form components. I'm working on doing something like this, where we have like a form component here that takes some props and some options that then render either a fragment or not, so we can target a fragment if we need to only update that part, which makes it super easy to do something like do I do it in application? New, yeah. So for example, here in whenever for my self-hosting tool here, we create a new application. I wrap this entire thing in a fragment, and then we can target that fragment in the controller. So we still simply use the whole view. We just pass the props as we always would. Everything stays the same, but we only return this through Datastar. So in controller, did I add this to the hypermedia package? No, I added to the renderer. Yeah, we are gonna add this fragment here so we can extract one or more fragments and then simply return those to Datastar. But I'm still playing around with how I want the field to be. So I think I am gonna be closing this, going to be solved in, what was it, 374? Yeah. Should also deal with shipping better form components. And I think I have a pull request actually I can mention. So we need this one and we need this one. That I don't wanna. No, this is just gonna be ongoing. Yeah, I wanna I wanna add an extension so we can use base code. That's also gonna be a little bit down the line. Which one do I have to? All right, so I still have this one as well, and this is also just gonna be an LLM thing because that should be quite straightforward. So we can, I wanna recreate a database because we do have, I also have this one here where I start to introduce a little bit. So we have generate database, and then we have migrate and queries and views. And then of course on the migrate we can run up, down, reset. But reset will not always work if there is an error in one of the migrations. So it's probably nice just to be able to drop the database entirely. So that is also good. Yeah, and then we have the sub commands. I need to write them. Basically, can't really ignore AI and LLMs now. I want to create a little bit more of a streamlined LLM command, so you can just write Andurel LLM, get an overview of how you should work with, how the LLM should work with Andurel, and then simply mention other commands in that command, so we can specifically see, okay, how do we do controller, how do we reviews and models, etc., to keep the context usage down. Right, integration tests. Yeah, I guess that's fine to leave that. I need to do that manually. How is it looking in the... This one is actually in the view. This one... Yeah, we have this scaffold with better LLM components, improve the docs. All right. Yeah, and then I'll be considering if I want this. Maybe it's a workflow. Probably it's not too much work to support what Peter wants here with Rails new dot. And yeah, just seems like a workflow with extra steps instead of just doing Andurel new. Okay. So we have this fragment that is working on. And this one, I guess I can just merge in. I think that's fine. This is going to be something like this, and we can always improve upon it. Right. So just let the test run, merge this in, and then I'm gonna start working on mithlond again. Okay. So one thing I also want to look at is, instead of using the option pattern, it doesn't really matter if you use option or not, but it could be interesting to see if we turn this into a builder pattern. So we will literally have something like, what is it? So it will be something like input. I'm just gonna call it InputBuilder. There's gonna be a struct, right? That would have these. And then you would have what? InputBuilder. And it's not going to be called build. It's just going to be called the render. It's going to return. No, temple, right? Which will just... yeah, which will just do what we're doing here. So it is gonna be something like input base. And then of course we need to pass all of this in here. And then we can do something like InputBuilder with title. No, not with title, but probably something like with ID, and then have something like ID string. Right, because then I think it becomes easier in something like environments. Let's say we have a create and we have some errors and we wanna return. If we have an error down here, we could do something like, what is it? Components, inputs, builder, pass the title. What is it? I of course don't need this. We have and I also need to mithlond Andurel run. Also, what Slack? Right, now can I? How are you doing? I can't see your name, sorry. Elm? Not sure, sorry man. How are you doing? Inputs. It's right there, InputBuilder, come on man. There we go. Right, and then you can always pass this state. I am also doing good. Thanks. I am I'm doing good. I'm doing some work on a potential saas problem here. What? Welcome back. And I think I mispronounced your name last time. Warp Monkey, right? Yeah, sorry, I have my chat on my desktop, so sometimes the names is a little bit hard to see. How are you doing? With ID, put an ID here, render, and then I can potentially turn this to data star, so do hypermedia patch symbol, and then it would literally be just pass C, right? Yeah. I think that makes more that nicer, because every time here I would have to write components, input, pass the props, pass the components all the time. This is NeoVim, so I'm on PubOS Cosmic. using the Cosmic terminal and then just running NeoVim inside of it. It's a big recommendation from me if you want to do more terminal-based work. It's really great. Okay. All right. That looks like the way to go. Yeah, you can really nerd. You can really nerd with this. I think if you get hooked on the NeoVim bug setup, you're probably going to spend a lot of time configuring this. Right now, I'm trying to keep it very minimal and not touch it all the time. So I basically only add different color themes. That's the main change I do. But yeah, there are some good options as well if you want to just have an out-of-the-box experience. So, what is it? Is it Folke? NeoVim Starter? I can't remember. Yeah, so there's the plugin. I'm using this for the plugin manager, but he has like a full-blown IDE experience in NeoVim, but I can't remember his. Is this one? LazyVim installation. Yeah, I did have a lot of issue with like hands pain, like especially in my right hands, and when I switched away from having the mouse or using the mouse and just using the keyboard, I then got a split keyboard. It basically went away. To do, consider implementing this for all components. And now I need to figure out what is it. It's called the starter. NeoVim starter config. There's also, of course, Kickstart from TJ. That's really great. It's less full-blown IDE beginner package. Okay. Yeah, it's somewhere around Folge, but give it a go if you want. All right, not gonna deal more with this. I think I want to. Let me just quickly check the issues here. I have improved look and feel. Consider builder pattern for components. Better DX. Okay. And fine. And this was the one I wanted to merge. Yeah. Total. This one. What is the... So the goal, basically the goal with Andurel is taking out all the boilerplates that comes with writing web applications in Go. So you do have to compile your code, right? So it's not gonna be the developer experience. At least it's not gonna be as fast as what you would be used to if you do something in JavaScript land. I have taken some inspiration from Air and Templire and created my own little app runner called Shadowfax that again is inspired by Lord of the Rings. So you can get some live reload. So if I go in here and let me just pull it into this screen. So most of the Go code you have to recompile, but if you just do text changes, like, come on, I cannot hit the keys right now. So if I just uppercase this, no, I need to go to admin, sorry. So we have servers here, so something like changing the text here will be instantaneous up here. If we want to change the classes as well, is also gonna be instantaneous. Now I can't remember what is the 2XL, 3X, 5XL? What is it? Tailwind? No. Text size, font size. Yeah. So I use Temple as the template engine, and that sends a signal as to whether or not it needs a full recompile, or we can just work on basically .text files, and those can get reworked much faster. So that's what you see here. And if I can figure out the text naming convention here, I'm doing it right. Why is it not? So 7XL. So like these type of changes is instantaneous. So it also handles recompiling the Tailwind styles and put it into the assets and then serves it all out of the box. But that is instantaneous. However, if we need to deal with anything Go related, we do need to recompile completely. So for example, if I do something like strings here to upper, here, give this a save. This does require a full reload, a full rebuild of the binary, but we can see it takes a few more seconds. But yeah, that's what you have to accept if you are doing compiled languages. But most of it is most of the UI is adding like a new element, right? So do whatever, which comes almost instantaneously as what you would have with React or whatever. I don't know if that answers your question, Warp Monkey. But the general goal is just to take all the tedious work out of building web applications with Go, because there is a lot of boilerplate code. So we have like commands generate resource that will so it handles the rebuild and only rebuilds the entire thing when it needs to handle it really needs to recompile the whole thing. It does make it a little bit more slow to work with components, because that also requires a full rebuild, unfortunately. But if I introduce more complete components with less typing, then you don't really need to worry about it. Then you can just add classes to it and build out your UI. All right. What I want to do today with mithlond here is, so we have server configuration and provisioning set up. You can create applications, and all application has what's it called? Environment. That's kind of how I'm trying to think about it. So you create some general information about an application, and then you create production, staging, whatever environments you want. They can have specific artifact versions. So this is for Docker. We have a source, so it can be both Docker and binaries. We can create a new environment and on which servers it needs to target. So whenever we trigger a deploy on an environment, all these server targets will get the new version. And we do it through a webhook. So something like this. I also need to do it manually through the UI. But this should give like an example to the user, like, okay, put this into your GitHub action or whatever, and then have it fill out whatever pattern you use for your versioning of your applications, and then you simply build this and trigger it. So what I need, of course, the UI needs a lot of work, but that's gonna be a future thing. I need to introduce deployments as a database. And then I also need to remove something from the server provisioning step, because right now I require that you add some DNS records for the agent that's going to handle deployments and updates and basically managing server and lifetime, and I don't need that. I can just have that on my own DNS and then have the client do whatever they want on their own domain. I can also, doing it that way around, I can create like here I could just create like a domain for them, for the app to run on without them having to do any DNS, which is probably a nicer experience. All right, not sure if that makes sense. So what I did here is I had one of my agents do a task. Of what we need to do. I am using Andurel to build what I'm considering to be a SaaS solution to self-host your own servers and applications. So it's not going to be specific for Andurel. I'm probably going to do some first citizen support actually for Andurel projects, but since this Go is super straightforward anyways. It's kind of like Laravel Forge, but aimed for now at Docker and binary deployments. So that will make it super easy to, if you have a Andurel project, to ship it out. But if you have a Docker file hosted, a Docker image hosted somewhere, or a binary uploaded somewhere, then you can use the tool. At least that's the goal for now. And then chug in some telemetry data, so you have server telemetry and also application telemetry if you buy into OpenTelemetry. That's kind of the overall concept for now. So I'm trying to get Andurel to a V1, at least a V1 beta at the end of this month, so in a couple of days. And building real projects with it is where a lot of the issues pop up, right? So this one no longer needs domain. Yeah, exactly. So many like small issues and developer experience improvements has come up with building real applications. For example, I have this table right here, which I don't think fits into the category of being a model. It's not really a business entity. A domain model is simply just a connection table. So I created this thing that you can now say Andurel generate and then the table name, and then it will generate all the quad queries that you need in the queries package here. So basically this, and then you can add to it, and then it compiles it, and then you can use those the compiled Go code from SQL-C inside of the model layer. I think that makes a lot of sense, and yeah, it's really good way to iron out all the bugs. I know there's probably some work to get done with translating SQL, or it's called PG type, the package, into the standard library type. So I try to have everything outside of models be standard library types or custom types that I define. I'm sure there's gonna be some things popping up there that need to get handled in one way or the other, but yeah, real work is often the way to go. All right. So yeah, get rid of the main queries. Yeah, exactly. And also it's structured in a way, right, where you can't interact with the database in any other place than the model layer. So all the generated SQL-C code goes into an internal directory on the model. So it's only model that can do anything with data. So that's also why we can ensure certain things like, where do I have it? What did I add? Environment, right? Yeah. So here, like, this is probably one of the biggest deviations from Rails that I do, that in a model is not a table representation, it's a business entity, where this one does not map to a database table, because I think it makes sense that an app environment has the app and the targets, so we can always use those. And then we can always add methods to the environment if we need to do anything like I do here with server, like get the decrypted agent token that runs on the server, for example. I think it's just whenever the system starts to really become huge, having everything in here makes it a lot easier to reason about where data is being handled and where the business logic is and all those kind of things. What did I need to remove here? I need to remove the domain because there's no longer a thing. Domain, get rid of that. Get rid of this, and then I have domain somewhere. There we go. Dual queries or queue compile. Yeah. And model server now has an issue. Because we no longer have domain, that makes sense. Queue workers, yep. Provision, no more domain, no more domain. This is no longer gonna be. So I want it to be server log, then the team name dash agent. I think that's where I want to be. Maybe I should just do team.name and then add this to the query. And then add config as a dependency to this job. Yeah. Base domain. So that in here, this is where do I have it? Job. It's just job args. Okay. Job args dot base domain. Right, and then model server. Let's add a server to it. No, not server, sorry, team. Team and team is gonna be empty for now. Team, and then server users. Right. Find server, row to server. Do this up here. Row.id. Server users. Then I also need to get a team. Find. Do I have any queries? No, of course it's query. Team by. What does the actual model look like? I do. We do have the team ID, right? Query team. To go. No encryption key. Like how I do cookies, I'm not sure I'm getting your Christian Warp Monkey. How are you doing, Slope Aspire? All good. We need the row, we need the team, and we need the server. When a model loads, is it loaded for each user independently, or do you? Yeah. So it really depends on who is making the request, right? So right now, whenever we log in, we set a cookie with a team ID, a user ID, and then of course some admin stuff here. And whenever you go into your dashboard, you are we're gonna pull the data or query the model layer based on those parameters, so the ID and the team, and then show whatever. So we are not sharing models. It is pulled on every request. I don't do any caching on the data right now. I don't think that's super necessary. I might do some caching at one point, but for now it's just gonna be queued first on each request. Okay, and then server. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What is that? Yeah. Server. This one, this one, this one. I only think the big, like, it is gonna come with telemetry data, right? And maybe there is, maybe you don't even need caching there. I might need caching depending on how I end up doing it. But I'm still exploring the concept of how I want to do the telemetry data. I'm considering doing something like hosting a ClickHouse DB, and then simply put it from there whenever you visit the dashboard, and then again filter based on what user is logged in and which servers they have access to. Don't ask for that, or what? Should be good. Workers, check server health. Do we pass? Convict. Go add stack. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm also considering exploring using Postgres as a dead letter queue, and if I need a more event-based system, which is definitely not out of the question, that is gonna be a thing. Why can't I do CFG? Am I stupid here? What's going on? Why is it not? Right. It's also not a job thing. It's here. Right. So it becomes worker CFG, and then it's data encryption key. Then of course I also have a bunch of errors here now. Don't want that, don't want that. I basically need to remove this entire view because this is gone. Or maybe I can reuse it for when people actually launch environments. Could be a thing. Controller servers. Yeah. So everything is also extremely messy right now, but it's basically trying to get a POC live at the end of this week. And then move all of my own applications over to the tool, and then do some dog feeding with the tool. Is it base UL? No, it's not his domain. Right, queue workers server health still have an error. And I should also do something to handle this in one place. Do I do that in configure? Agent, there we go. Actually, I think I want to do this on this server. Agent URL. string. Yep. Do I have? So I can actually also do protocol is simply just gonna be, yeah. So we do also do I want to? It's probably easier just to do protocol for now. Pro. So in the configure configure, come on. So this one now is server.agent URL. And let me just add config. So here it's proto. Don't I? There we go. Okay. Get rid of this. And then is it in provision? That we had to check. No. Right. So this one should just be server agent URL. And then did I add? I did. Get rid of this, and say protocol. Yes, and then I guess we wanna just pass config here, and then this one becomes data key. Data encryption key. What does it need more? I should just pass. Right. So just pass config. Other way around. So in this one, no longer do we use this, and this get out of here. This becomes app data encryption key. Same down here, same in all these places. of these are there? The main, and here we want to just pass this one. Right. So now we are compiling again. So we can also do, okay, I need to get rid of the main in views. Domain. If I wonder, like on border, I would like to explore this, like something like a storage box. Right now, it's gonna be a little bit, I think, too simple to charge money for. It will literally have connections to Hetzner, DigitalOcean, Linode, OVH. I think those are the ones I'm gonna begin with. So we then just provision and configure the server, and then make it so that you can run either binaries through systemd or Docker. And that will be both like Docker run and Docker compose. But doing more around storage boxes and generally those kind of things would be cool, I think. I'm still figuring out how I want to deal with binary deploys. I am going to be using Cloudflare's R2 to host the agents. So basically there's this mithlond agent repository right here that I'm also gonna touch on today. That will do releases and upload a binary to a public R2 bucket. So I'm gonna start building around that, but ideally it should I'm not sure I follow your question, Warp Monkey. I'm not sure I understand your question. Sequencing of commands, sometimes onboarding. Mm-hmm. I don't. Again, I'm not sure if I'm following the question. I'm sorry. You would have everything ready on the server whenever you get to configuring a Docker, running a Docker container. So you start by provisioning and configuring the server so everything is ready, and then the agent will be in charge of running whatever you want to run through Docker or binary or systemd. But if you need a super base database, you would have that when you create the application, right? Or you would specify it in a Docker Compose file that it needs that. So at this point, you would already have the server set up and ready to run Docker Compose, and then the agent will simply take whatever you specify in the dashboard, create the Docker Compose file on the server, and then run it. So there's no need. So either you have like an URL from Supabase if it's hosted there, or if you want to run Supabase on your server, then you would probably do it through Docker Compose. I'm not gonna be, at least for now, I'm not gonna be doing any configuration options so you can install other things, if that makes sense. It does give you the option to do whatever you want with the server, so it does show you the SSH credentials so you can log in and do whatever you want. But then it becomes more a customer decision if they want to do that. So you could technically use that, go in and install, and then you would have that information, and then you provide it through the dashboard to deploy it. Did I catch all? That's also correct. All right. That took a little bit of time, but now that should be done. Now I then, of course, need the to do. I need CF to there we go. I need to do that on my own. Don't need this. Must be not in production. I can just manage them directly. Yeah, okay. Clean all of this up. And then what is it I need? I need to do new tables. From the old one here we need deployment, right? Deployment and deployment status. Oh, release. create deployments table and deployment releases table, I think is the name. Yes. Don't want these for now. Let's see, artifact version to be consistent. Yeah, and then I'm gonna add it here. Also, I think it Warpunk is probably gonna make more sense when I can like show the whole flow, because everything is also a little bit too loosely defined right now as to how the system will work in the end, because it should make it a lot easier to do self-hosting, like manage your servers and manage your own applications. So right now I'm basically doing the workflow as how I would use it, and then hopefully get some early users willing to test out creating a server and deploying some applications and seeing how the workflow feels. Because right now I'm also doing is compiling. No, I'm not running it. Let me see here. One thing I do a lot is that I work with releases. So I have created this thing right here where we on the application level define like a pattern for the artifact you want to deploy, and this one is just a basic semver, so that all the environments has a default version that can be overridden in the webhook. So this one right here to trigger deployment, and I'm debating how much I want to enforce this, but you can basically define your own artifact version pattern that we will then try to follow. Like this one is generated from the pattern I created, but it should also support spinning up environments for pull requests, especially with all these vibe coders, right? I think that's going to be a huge group that would probably like to spin up a live instance of their application on a pull request, right? And do you really want to like enforce the artifact version there? Do I just want to take in whatever? Yeah, but for now I'm just going to enforce the pattern on the application, the version pattern on the application, and then maybe loosening this up. It's also not really sure it makes sense to have a default artifact version, because it might not be just production, it might just be an increasing version of somewhere. Yeah, I'm not sure yet, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a lot of edge cases once this, if this reaches a broader audience. But I'm also hesitant to do too much upfront designing before I actually see who wants to if anybody wants to pay for it, or it's just gonna be a tool for myself, right? But yeah, it's a good point. Okay, right. So deployment releases will track the status of our deployments. That makes sense. And that does not need if that has a started at and completed at, and then this. Why do I want to have two here? Come on, next Cali draw, please. So what's deployments right here? Can reference other deployments. Yeah, it's going to be deployment and deployment releases. But I don't really like the naming here. Or maybe I don't understand it when I did it the first time. So we want to track a release, deployment release, to see when it starts and when it completes. And then we want some status and some logs and some error messages. But I'm not sure why did I make two of these? Because this... Yeah, it could be deployment and releases. So we show the latest release and then we can track the status of a deployment. Yeah, that's also a good suggestion. I'm just considering if I need more than just deployment for now. That could just encodify the flow, and then I can always expand it later to be a bit more robust. So deployments would look something like this. So deployment is whenever we in the UI either manually go in and trigger like releasing a new instance of this environment here or this environment here. That's a deployment. Or whenever we receive a webhook that a new release or a new version is ready to be deployed. So it is literally, I don't know, you create a new release on GitHub version 1.02, whatever. There's a Docker image. Then the deployment is what manages that process of talking to the agent on the server to pull the image. Yeah, that's probably a good mental model. Maybe I just want to have a deployment. Yeah, every deployment will have a foreign key back to release. Yeah, so you initiate a new release that then has deployments with. So it becomes something like trigger action. Yeah, I think you're right on this one, Mob Monkey. Gonna do like releases and then that will and this one will then have like artifacts version. Started at and then started at and completed at. So we want this to be releases started at trigger type triggered by. Yeah, because we deploy to multiple servers. So this one becomes yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, so we get here, this is the version we want to release, and then the deployment here would then specify server target ID or something like this one here. No, I'm not running the application. So this one has one server target, but it's right, we will have a deployment for each server target. Yeah, but the inbound webhook will just need to specify the artifact version that needs to get used. And then we have all the information to create the release and then create all the deployments that is required based on that release, right? So this one also will have something like status, which will be what? Running, failed, success, I don't know, something like that. It will literally only be targeting the version. And then we would, behind the scenes, create the release and create the deployments based on how many server targets that environment has. So all the webhooks are specific to an environment. I'm also considering doing one webhook for all environments, but that's probably a little bit dangerous. So this one will be specific to this environment that then has server targets associated with it. I think that is probably, so we also know the type, if it's webhook or manual, and who did it. We know the version. We know the overall status. And then the rollback is not deployment, that's gonna be rollback to another release. And then of course we're gonna have environment ID, so we know which one. Am I completely off here? Foreign key yeah, this would be rollback to this release that has deployments that we know are working, and then we run them. Yeah, so it's, so we pass the environment ID, and from the environment ID we can pull all the rest of the information. So we have the specific environment like production, and on production we can find the targets, and then we also get the version, and then the associated application will have the artifact source, which for a Docker is going to be like, for example, mbvlab/blog. Yeah. So I think this one should probably also have started at and completed that. That makes sense. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so either through the webhook or through the dashboard, you can click deploy, and that's where I think manually you either need to use the default version if it's always the same, or specify another one, or use the webhook. The idea is that this is automated completely right through something like GitHub Actions or however your build line looks like. Whatever you want, wherever you want to place the trigger, you can place it. But we don't do any builds, at least yet. It could be nice in the future maybe to connect with GitHub repository and do the build of the binary or the Docker, or maybe support Rails, Laravel, or Django, something like that. But for now, the build release layer will call the webhook, yeah. And that's also a big question, because this is how I want to work. But again, does anyone else want to work? I don't work like this. This is, I don't know. Logs, yes. Status, yes. The environment ID, environment server ID, yes. I'm not sure if that should just be server ID. It should probably just be server ID, right? And then release ID. Yeah. Yes. Or it links to an environment. I'm not sure if I should, because I know like what Coolify does when I used it last time was there you have to create instances of applications, and I think you should have an application that has environments very similar to how you do it on Heroku, where you have an application that then has a staging and a production environment, a production server, whatever they call it. Yeah, you would create 3 deployments and then check how they track them, how they go. And of course there needs to be some rollout strategy. How do you want to do it? I also need to play around with how you want to do load balancing between those servers, if that is even something I should attempt to solve, or it should just be like a customer has to figure out how to, like, either use a Cloudflare load balancer or a Hetzner load balancer, right? But yeah, it would create 3 deployments that gets triggered to the agents on those 3 servers, that then communicates back to the main application. And then once all the deployments have completed in one form or another, we mark the release as complete and then set a status. And then we can check if all of the deployments was successful or not. I think that's the mental model. Yeah. So this one can literally be something like this. How many servers you have? What is gonna be like? Server 1, server 2. So I'm targeting them based on the environment. So staging will also have a different webhook. at least in this setup. So you have to call multiple webhooks. That might not be what you'd want, but also depends a lot on the release process, right? In Heroku, you used to always deploy master to staging and then promote it to production. That could also be a workflow I could codify and then not even have the webhook. So this, I think it's a balance between UX and control, and how much control do people realistically want. Whenever they want to self-host, I assume they want quite a lot, and this will give it. Yeah. But I think it's nice that you also can, like if you use the tool, you would be able to have servers specifically for like pull requests or dev and staging, and then have production servers, and then roll it out in a way that you like. So if you do something like Hetzner, right, $100 goes a long way in terms of servers. And ideally, you would also have redundancy built in if you connect through Hetzner and say like Linode or DigitalOcean, so you can roll out to different servers. It doesn't really matter because they have the same agent with the same API. It's just a question of how you choose to load balance request to that server on your domain. Yeah. But yeah, it's nice. Thanks for discussing this. This was really helpful. Rubber ducking this sort of things is really good. Yeah. I think the first round here is going to be dog feeding the platform itself, so have the release process of the platform being run by the same code that runs the deployments of other servers. Get that in and then do self-updating binaries, get that process really nailed down. And then add another server and do something like Cloudflare load balancing between those two servers. Make sure that works while I'm also doing my own applications outside of this one, if that makes sense. I think doing that for like a week, a couple of weeks, a month while you keep improving, then it's probably going to be in a good place to start opening up for some early users. I have 2 deployments. I think this is enough to get going with, so And the Git history is also completely screwed right now, but that's, I mean, we're still doing POC work, so that's fine. Andurel generate resource. Ah, come on, why can't I spell? Release. And I have some errors that I need to, or maybe not. Is it just models release? No, it was just because it was too quick to recompile. Right. So we have a release, rollback status. Yeah. So I want to at least do some form of enums, even though it's incredibly stupid that Go doesn't have proper enums. Release status enum. In progress, completed, failed, I think is a good place to be. Yes. Yes, and then the status becomes a release enum status. That's fine. Did I do? No, we still need the CRUD operations as well to see. Yeah. Come on. Models. And then I probably also want to have a deployment model. Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense. But it could also just be something we work on now. Fuck it. I'm gonna keep it. Release deployment. Yes, and do I need? No, but I would like to have deployment. So the queries deployments gonna be query deployment by release ID. And we want many. Andurel you compile. Models release. Gonna add in deployments queries query deployment by release ID. I might as well just make this into a model function. All deployments doesn't really make a ton of sense, but it's fine. All deployments for release ID. Yes. So instead of doing this, we are gonna be doing this. This one for upsert, and I think we are good. So in views and in environments, should I do it on the right? And server. Okay. Where am I missing something? Ah, yeah. Use deployments. Did I not? I did not create the string methods. And it was deployment. Yes. then maybe just on an application level, start to show. Yeah, I'm just gonna show all deployments for an application to begin with. Don't need this right now. And we want to have releases. And of course it's gonna be releases. And do I have the started at and completed at completed at trigger type. What more? Artifact version probably, and then also the status would be nice. And then view, no, I don't want to do this now. I don't. Yeah, I mean, the answer to these questions is always just gonna be build stuff. I don't care what you build. Build something. Whatever you think is fun to build, you should build this. I think it's important that you just build something that you find interesting, so you continue to work on it. Of course, there's resources I can recommend. There's a bunch of good books, bunch of good YouTube videos. But the main thing is, just start building stuff. The good thing with Go is that it's a super simple language. The syntax probably takes you a couple of days to get familiar with. So to get really good at Go, it's building applications, and then you start to just utilize these patterns over and over. There are books like what's it called, 101 mistakes Gophers make. Is that the name? 101 mistakes Gophers make. Yeah, no, golfers, no. What is it called? 100. There we go. Like, this book is probably good if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of some common mistakes about Go. I think this one is good to get. There's also it's called the Big Blue Book, I think. Golang book. I can probably find it here in a second. Like this one, I would probably not. I would not bother with this. So if you can use AI, I don't know the answer to this question. I have created a paid course called mastergolang.com, where my thesis is that you need to either follow a course yourself, build some things or combinations, and then once you are familiar with these things, are comfortable, then start using AI. But maybe there is a way to do this with AI, but I would, my personal experience is you would probably refrain from AI as much as possible. I will not use AI to write the code. I will probably use AI to examine your code. If you have to use AI, like what did I do wrong here, or what could I do better, or why? But it's really important that you get the why behind it. And I think that's very hard if you are new to a language and new to programming to know when the why is good and when the why is bad. So do it directly. Do it directly in the beginning. Use AI. You should know when AI is wrong. Then you can use AI. You should really know when, okay, this is stupid. Don't do this. And if you're at that point, then okay, use some AI, because I also use AI for some of this stuff. But I mainly use AI when I have something repeatable. Like if I have to add a new model function or something, I would probably just tell AI to do it, because I have the base template for it to follow, and when you have that, it can be good. But for example, you should know why I'm doing MVC, or when you why am I using this architecture, and why am I using these tools instead of not these tools? Why am I using this design or not this design? Yeah. I would say it's okay. I think that's fine, but I will just be very cautious as to not use it as your only source. I would find some books like 100 Go mistakes, watch some YouTube videos, maybe get a course, and then supplement it, because I think it gets it right a good amount of the time, but it does get it. It also gets it wrong, or it makes suggestions that either are vastly overcomplicated or vastly undercomplicated, if that's a word. So, I mean, it's okay, but supplement it. You should really supplement it with something else, whatever that is. If that is videos by a real human, that is books by a real human, then I think it's much better to go that route. Environment. Yes, I want that. Yeah, of course. Of course, always happy to discuss this. I think it's a really interesting topic, because you cannot ignore that AI is a thing that you need to think about, especially in education. It's not gonna go away. It's gonna be here. So I think it's important to explore what role it will have in education. Also, I think maybe walking through, take a code base. There's a bunch of open source code bases that can be very overwhelming. For example, like the Kubernetes, that's open source, right? Which is like 8 million or something lines of Go, written by presumably good Go developers at Google, which might be very beneficial to go through that code base with an LLM potentially, or do it yourself, or go through it yourself and then ask an LLM about the conclusions you have made about some piece of code. Or I think just being very curious about the thing you're trying to learn, and then having a lot of different sources for the thing that you're learning, so you can start to see patterns. Because the AI might be right, but if you see a bunch of different sources saying something that is contradictory to what the AI is doing or saying, probably a good time to course adjust or do something else. more do I need? And I'm also just being a bit lazy here. I could probably do this with joins, but I need something on the screen now. Right. I need releases. Yeah, I need something like this. That does not exist yet. Thanks, Warp Monkey, and thanks for the chat. It was really nice. Hope I reached the end of goal target. End of month goal. What was I doing? All releases by application. Right, that's what I wanted. How do I want to do this? And how long I've been going for now? 2 hours. All right. So we have database, queries. So I want query releases by application, application ID, and I want to do I need to join it on, yeah. And then I need to join by goods. Right. I'm completely off here. Dual queue compile. What does that give me? Models, DB, releases by application. That should be right. All releases by application. I should be able to make queries releases embed.
Wait a minute.
What is it? Embedding. No, come on.
You know,
Embedding structs, right?
a damn fine cup of coffee.
Yeah, so I should be able to say, as you'll see, embeds release. And I need to learn how to spell.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Every day,
Releases.
give yourself a present. Don't plan it. Don't wait for it. Just let it happen. Could be a new
Okay.
shoe in the store, a cat nap in your office chair, or
That should make it easier.
hot black coffee.
Should have release, right?
Like Christmas.
And row. And then finally row release.
Man, that is the spot.
So now in controller application. Beautiful. That then, yeah, and then we just pass releases. Do a run. Is it running? We are, nice. And then we have a not found. And this is because I'm doing something wrong with my joins. And that's also because I have not actually run my migrations. Maybe that will help a little bit. There we go. So, application. Right here we have started ads, completed ads, trigger type, artifact version, and then we do status. Okay, shush. Hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm doing good, thanks. How about you? I am building what is essentially gonna be a SaaS product to manage self-hosting your own servers and your own applications. So kind of in a similar vein as Level 4, Chatbox, Coolify, Deploy, those kind of tools. It's going to be heavily oriented around Docker and Golang right now. And my terminal is, what is it? It's called Cosmic Terminal. Yeah, I'm on Pop OS Cosmic. And right now I'm just using the default terminal. I have used Ghosty and all the other ones, but the default one here in Cosmic seems to work really, really, really great. Yeah, hopefully. So the main idea is that you have an application that has a bunch of environments, and I don't know if you have used something like Heroku back before it got bought and got really bad. It used to be a great product, where you would have staging and production, and then a bunch of environments for your pull requests. So I'm kind of aiming to mimic that flow. I do, yeah. I've written Go professionally for like 6-7 years now. Been a developer for like 10 years. Mainly do freelancing, consultancy, and that is predominantly in Golang. Do I do anything here with the body? So, nice. I think it should be an easy switch for you. Go is a lot, at least the language is a lot simpler than C#. We don't really have a .NET equivalent. I am doing my own web framework, but it's nowhere near the scale and size of .NET. Yeah. Let me just do. I'm not. Received, yes, and then I want to do. I just want to do payload as strings. Yeah, I suspect there's a lot more jobs in .NET than there is in Go. I'm from Denmark, and we basically do .NET and Java. So whenever I talk to Danish companies, they're always unaware of what Go is. So I mainly work with a lot of like UK, US, and Germany based companies where Go is a bit more adopted. Let's call it that. All right, let me try and send this webhook and see what we get. Goes for the cool kids. Maybe, but at least .NET is for the ones who want to have a job. That's not true. There is a lot of jobs in Go. It's just a different scale. All right, so I just want to test this trigger flow without actually triggering anything, which means I can do a hard-coded payload here. That is not that. It's gonna be this. It's gonna have artifact version. Which should be enough for now. Invalid payload. Are we not receiving? Did I do wrong here? I'll take it. I will take it. Also because we consume the body here? No? This is the... artifact. What is it that I'm not doing right here? Artifact version. Can I even do... Does this consume it?
We brought levity to each other's lives. But there's a lot more to life than that, and I realized that in these last few years. And we just became very different people. And so we had nothing in common overnight. It's very strange, but that happens.
Probably body rights. That would make a lot of sense. Come on. Jason on Marshall. There we go. If I do... Also doesn't make sense right now. I need to... Yeah, so this will say models create deployment. So time that now. And I can also grab the server ID. Right. That's internal, please. No. Server D. Create release. Create release data. Started by, yes. We need the type is going to be webhook. And did I do models? No, I also need something to yeah. Yeah, I just like do it very stupidly right now. And we also grab we do have the environment, that's nice. Yeah, not for now, and it's gonna be models. Release. I mean, technically be started, but that's fine. So release error, and we don't need server ID, of course, because it's not server ID, it's environment ID. And what do I have? An environment. I have server targets, right? For target, and this is gonna be in background jobs. When I do this for real. So time that now. And it's gonna be target. It's gonna be release ID. It's gonna be models deployment status in progress. Deployment status num, please. Logs no, error message no. It's gonna be handled in it's gonna be handled by the background job running this. And release. Yeah, I need to add. I need to add. I do not need to add that, right? Models, deployments. If I add the release, Right, so instead of release ID, I'm gonna grab release. So now I just need to grab. Do I even have that? And don't, but release, right? And finally, upsert also just needs a release, deployment. Gonna be release.id. We don't really need this as well, so it doesn't really matter. Good. Controllers, deployments. No. Gonna be models, pass. Right. And then in API. Yeah, we just create this. And then we deal with them in the background jobs. And they have enough data to actually send to the agent running on the server what to run. Right. So now if I go to here, there's nothing good. But if I do one here, what did I do wrong? All right, what? API. Let's release. What are you talking about? What am I doing? Create release. Right. And then down here, we are using the release. What the hell? Yeah. Yeah. Deployments. And let me just grab a transaction. I'm guessing I'm doing something wrong with creating the release. Okay, and I'm thinking we have some issues here. Of course, because we're using like a so this one can't be null, right? So if I do val, no, what is it? Can I remember? Is it this? Yeah, so we don't even need a constraint, right? Andurel DB make down, and then up. Grab it one more time. Yeah, maybe commit the transaction and close it. That will probably help. Create deployment for server targets. Need to take a break soon, I think. Why am I screwing up this simplest thing ever? What did it say? I lost the history. If I just ship one more. Create deployment for server targets. Right. Controllers, API, create deployment for server targets. Creating deployment for server targets. This one, right? All right, how long have we been going for? Almost 3 hours. Almost 3 hours, right. I'm gonna do 15 minutes more for today. I think need a short break and then I'm gonna do more. On Friday. But what is my brain? I'm doing something so stupid. Why can't we? Creating a loop somewhere. Oh no. No, this is right. What the? Okay, get rid of the transaction. Do we even create the? Yeah. Started. up. Yeah. What am I doing wrong in my... Both of these are completely correct. I'm really reaching here. Okay. Go back now. I am so total app console. Right. That's fine. And that also means that my query for controllers, this one right here. Is acting up. Okay. So we're doing some loops here, right? Here we are simply just gonna be doing this, right? Nice. Yeah, so I was creating a loop, which means that we can say right, and then deploy dot equals, yeah, of course. Alright, doesn't matter. So that is looking right. This is of course not right, but this is because what I passed, so that is good. It's not completed, that's right. It's a webhook, that's also right. Application and then views. Status, yeah. can I do something like environment name? Yeah. And text right should work. Yeah. Good. All right, so that's good enough for now. This of course needs to be hooked up correctly with the agent that's getting installed on the server. But yeah, we are hitting 3 hours. I'm gonna call it now, and then we're gonna pick this up again on Friday around 12 o'clock Central European time. But thanks for joining, and thanks for the rubber dugging warp monkey. That was really nice.